Well, kia ora koutou everybody. Welcome to St George's Online. It's great to have you with us again today. My name is Josh Jones. Today we're going to continue diving into the deep, as it were, by exploring what is known in Holy Scripture as the one another verses. These are the verses that very much encourage us and urge us to cultivate and to nurture the life-giving, life-affirming qualities that enrich us as people, community, family and whānau. The verse that we're particularly focusing on today is from the book of Hebrews, where the writer encourages us to spur each other on to love and good deeds, and also to not forget meeting with one another as community. It's not really possible to nurture and cultivate these life-giving qualities in isolation. We do need each other, and for me this is one of the great riches of being part of a healthy, life-giving church community. Really excited today that we have with us Jeremy Woods. Just for a bit of context, Jeremy is on placement here at St George's from St John's Theological College, where he's doing biblical studies, including studying Hebrew and Greek. So very much looking forward to hearing from you today, Jeremy. But let's just take a moment now to pause and reflect. Just reflect on these words from Hebrews, our verse of the day, and see what they evoke in you this morning as the music plays quietly.
At the beginning of the novel and musical Les Miserables, protagonist Jean Valjean is released after 19 years of forced labour on parole. 5 for stealing a loaf of bread, 14 more years because he tried to escape, all because his nephew was starving. After 2 decades of forced labour, his identity has been reduced to thief and a number, 24601. And supposedly now he was free. However, he must carry at all times a ticket, a yellow ticket, a testament of his criminality, a badge of shame. Because of this yellow ticket, Jean Valjean cannot find any work. No one will give him food or a place to stay for the night. Asleep one freezing night in a doorway, Jean Valjean encounters a bishop who welcomes him into his home, shows hospitality, refers to Jean Valjean as his esteemed or honoured guest in his mealtime grace. He looks him in the eye without fear, and he says, "You can stay here as long as you like," and shows Jean Valjean to a bed like which Jean Valjean has never slept in before. However, in the middle of the night, Jean Valjean wakes with a start, and seeing an opportunity to get ahead, he steals the bishop's silver and disappears into the night. The next scene sees Jean Valjean caught and cast to the feet of the bishop. The constable who caught him says to the bishop, "He even had the nerve to say that you gave him this." To which the bishop replies, "That was right." And then turning, he grabs 2 grand silver candlesticks, and he says to Jean Valjean, "But my friend, you left so early. Do you not remember I gave you these also? Would you leave the best behind?" He invites Jean to use this precious silver to become an honest man. This act of radical generosity troubles and conflicts Jean, and we see him later in a church pacing back and forth, wrestling with his conscience, wrestling with God, saying, "Why did I allow this man to touch my soul, to teach me love? He treated me like any other. He gave me his trust. He called me his brother. He said, I have a soul. How does he know?" And so he lifts his yellow ticket, his badge of shame, to the altar like an offering. And then leaving the church, he tears it up, throwing it to the wind, and declares another story must begin. Now, I'd like to think that were I robbed, I would like to think I would respond like the bishop in such a Christ-like manner. However, good chances are I would respond instinctively, wanting my possessions to be restored and for justice to be reckoned. However, in this story, and in the great story that we live in, it is sacrificial love that brings about change in the other. When I chose this one another passage, I initially wanted to focus on encourage one another, the importance of meeting together to encourage each other in the way of Jesus, for we cannot do this alone. However, as I spent time with this text, it was the word provoke that jumped out at me. Provoke one another to love and to good works. Now, this word provoke has been translated variously as spur, motivate, stir, stimulate, and even, and I think very aptly, as incite. Let us consider how to incite one another to love and to good works. Like the English words incite or provoke, the Greek word that these words are translated from, paroxysmos, also carries with it this sort of negative connotation. It's generally used in a negative way. So we talk of inciting violence or rebellion or revolution. It is a provocation that forces the other to respond. However, here the author of Hebrews is inviting us to incite one another, not to violence, but to acts of love and good works. To be provocateurs of love, inciters of good works, rabble-rousers of encouragement. So what does it look like to provoke one another to love? Well, I think there's a Te Ao Māori concept that adds another facet to this, which is helpful in understanding how we go about doing this. And it's this idea of manaki. And as I have explored this concept as a learner and listened to tangata whenua this week, I've seen these beautiful connections and parallels to this text, which captures this idea of inciting one another to love and to good works. Now, we generally think of manaki or manakitanga as hospitality, as respect and care. Manaki is aroha in action. In Te Ao Māori, everyone is owed manaki if they come to your home, to your whare or to your marae. What is more, manaki is made up of two words, mana and aki. Now, mana is not easily explained in Pākehā terms concisely, and a friend defined mana to me this week. He said, mana is mana, meaning you can't easily take one concept so centrally core to one culture and implant it into another. But it's a lot more than just a sort of authority we usually call it. And as I understand it, it is our spiritual authority and dignity that ultimately comes from atua, from God, that we inherit through our tupuna, our ancestors, and is confirmed and affirmed by the elders, by the tangata of the tribe. And particularly for Māori, of course, it is a connection to our ancestral lands as well that factor into an individual's mana. Now, aki means to encourage, urge on, challenge, incite, induce, or exhort. So to show manaki tanga, which is aroha in action, radical hospitality, is to incite, encourage, exhort, induce the mana of the other person, the dignity of the other. So it was the bishop's radical and self-sacrificial hospitality, or manakitanga, that incited Injin Valjean a rebellion against a system that saw him only as a criminal, as 24601. It provoked him on to love and to good works. Turning to the gospel, when we think of Jesus, of times where he has showed manaki, of radical hospitality, The one that comes to mind for me the most is that last meal he shared with his disciples, where after the meal he took off his outer cloak, wrapped a towel around his waist, he bent down and he washed his disciples' feet. This is how Jesus incites a rebellion of love and good works in his disciples. He takes the towel and he serves. And of course, Peter reacts sort of viscerally to this. He says, "You can't wash my feet." So how are we to understand Peter's adverse reaction here? Well, Jesus, like the bishop, who sees the dignity of the human before him and humbly serves and honors him, Jesus takes the place of the servant. Jesus chooses at great personal cost to himself to enhance the mana of his disciples. Peter reacts because this is not the order of things. If anything, as Jesus' disciple, he should be washing his rabbi's feet. Peter is feeling the provocation of receiving humble service, of receiving aroha in action, of manakitanga, and it can be difficult to receive. Secondly, Peter reacts because in this act he recognizes the implications. As one who has been watching and following and learning from his rabbi to do everything the way he did. Jesus says to them, servants are not above their masters, that is, disciples are not above their teachers. What I have done, you are also to do. Love one another. Provoke and incite one another to love and to good works through humble service. Enhance the mana of the other through aroha in action. And then see the effects of those actions in the love and the good deeds that they provoke in the other. So, beloved, let us consider this week how to incite one another to love and to good works. How to be provocateurs of love, of inciters of good works, ones who enhance the mana of the other. Be open to ways where you can protect and enhance the dignity of the other. Perhaps, like the bishop, you may be wronged in some way this week. Consider how you might respond in such a way that incites in the other love and good works. Perhaps the other might be a stranger, one like Jean Valjean, one oppressed by the system, which has labelled them and needs to be incited to love and good works merely through the act of having their mana, their personal and human dignity recognized and seen. Or perhaps the invitation to us this morning is to think of those who are like Peter in our inner circle, maybe even those who live under the same roof as us, who are in need of encouragement from us, who need to be provoked to love and to good works, not by nagging or passive aggression or by judgment, but by aroha in action, by manaki, by loving acts of humble service. And so may God reveal to you this week who in your life needs encouragement, who needs provoking to love and good works, and in what circumstances God might be calling you to incite a rebellion of love and good works. May Christ give you the eyes to see those who need their mana enhanced and protected. May the Spirit give you boldness to respond like the bishop when manaki, the act of provoking the other in love, comes at great personal cost. And may we all also be willing to receive the humble acts of love from others, open to being transformed by their loving acts. Amen.
Well, thank you, Jeremy, for that great message today and for giving us a different perspective on the word incite. We so often associate this word with violence, but what would it be? What would it look like for all of us to incite a rebellion of love, to be provocateurs of aroha and monarchy in all the arenas and all the endeavors of our lives? Thank you, everyone, for joining us today on our St. George's online community. Could we invite you to click on the subscribe button and to continue to engage with us as a community? Give us your thoughts and your feedback. In the meantime, go now to incite love and to serve the Lord, and go in peace. Amen. We go in the name of Christ.